All right, welcome back, everyone. I think everyone in here knows me, but if you don't know me, I'm Chad Wallace. I'm the Director of Operations here at Mastermind Gym Solutions, and I'm going to talk to you guys today about taking the vision that you created yesterday and bringing it down to where we need to start, and then doing a 20-mile march towards that. It's going to be a really fun presentation. Our mission today, before lunch, we're going to master some 40X. This is a principle that drives success across our organization and yours. After lunch, we're going to build your wig, and then we're going to design your 20-mile march. So what are we going to do here? Part one, this is our foundation. I'm going to build the narrative. We're going to master 40X. We're going to understand what the 20-mile march is. I'm going to try to jam through this just because I want to get you guys out for lunch. We're going to send you guys over to Quincy Market for lunch. And so we need to give you at least a full hour to get over there, get something to eat, and come back. That's what the $25 gift cards inside your guys' bags are for. Lunch is on us today. And thank you to our sponsor, Matrix. They helped offset the cost for that. Then you guys have a lunch break. Then we're going to come back and we are going to workshop. Everything we do after lunch while I'm talking is going to be 100% workshop style. There'll be some prompts, there'll be a little bit of me talking, but for the most part, we're gonna get creative, we're gonna have some fun. All right, this is a concept that I think resonates with a lot of people, especially myself, and I was talking to Stacy a little bit about it last night, is a perfect plan means nothing if we can't execute. Doesn't do us any good to sit down, brainstorm, come up with this, here's the math, here's the strategy, here's what we're gonna do, and then not execute on it. Has anybody in the room ever spent hours and hours and hours coming up with a plan, rolls it out, and then you look back like 3 weeks later and you're like, yeah, we're not doing anything that we were supposed to be doing? Does that ever happen to anybody? Right? It happens to me, it's happened to all of us. If you didn't raise your hand, come let me know what your secret is. And so we're gonna try to avoid that today, right? We're gonna go to that layer below. We're gonna talk about how do we keep things that we say we're gonna do right here in front of our face, important, keep in front of our staff's face. The concept here that says it's not perfect planning, it's not about perfect planning means we don't need to walk away today with the perfect plan. We need to walk away today with the ability to execute on that plan. And that's what we're gonna really focus on. The execution gap is something I came up with. Your roadmap doesn't mean anything if you don't know how to do a daily march. Who in here has completed our WIG roadmap exercise with their strategy coach? At least once. Pretty much everyone I know has, right? And so we complete these roadmaps. What these roadmaps do is they give us the math, right? They say, hey, if you want to raise your revenue by $1,000 a month, here's how much PT you need to sell, here's how much membership you need to sell, here's how many leads you need, here's how many FCs you need to book, this is what your KPR targets need to be. It gives us the math, which is a very important part of understanding how to get there, but it's not enough, right? It's just not. We have to be able to take that, apply a strategy to it, and then march towards it every single day. Who in here has had a goal die in the whirlwind, right? I want to go from A to B by C, and next thing I know, I'm 3 months in and I'm like, I don't even know what my wig was. Why is Chad emailing me, telling me to submit my wig? I didn't even set one, or I don't remember what it was, or did I? Katie, did I set a wig? Matt, can you guys find my wig submission anywhere? Has that ever happened to anybody where we get so focused on one thing for a very short period of time and then it dies in the whirlwind? And so the first part of your guys' books is an open reflection. I want you guys to take just a couple of minutes. And the question in the workbook is, how did the whirlwind catch you in the last 6 months? I want you to think about how the whirlwind trap caught you, or Whirlwind Warfare up here, caught you over the last 6 months. So just take a couple minutes here, reflect on your last 6 months and how the whirlwind got you distracted. All right, so I wanted to give you guys a little bit more time on this, but like I said, I'm gonna try to rush through it. You can always come back to this. And so why do goals die in the whirlwind? Here's what we find. So one is we get into what we're calling the planning trap. which means I spend too much time planning, trying to get the perfect plan together. And next thing I know, it's 3 months later, and I was supposed to set my wig in September, and it's December, and I still don't have it done because I'm still planning what I'm gonna do, right? Remember, it's not about perfection, it's about progress. We don't need to have the perfect plan, and so people get caught in the planning trap. Secondly is Whirlwind Warfare, which is, for those of you that don't know this, the goal is every day, 20% of your day should be spent on something that directly moves your wig forward. The whirlwind is 80% of the day, right? So 80% of the time when you're at work or you're focusing on your business or whatever, however you want to frame it, 80% can go to the whirlwind. The whirlwind gets this bad rep, but it's a necessary part of business. It happens. It's all the things that have to go round and round and round to make your business function. Where people get lost is they let the whirlwind carry them all the time and they lose focus on their goal. And so 20% of the day should be focused on that. And then the last one is the accountability vacuum. We don't do a great job of holding people to doing what they said they were gonna do. And so one of the things that I learned from one of my previous owners that I worked for is, when he first bought our company, I'm like, how do you and I communicate? And he said, I'm gonna make it real simple for you. Do what you say you're gonna do, and we'll have no problems. And I said, that just sounds really, elementary. And he's like, it is. Like literally, if you're not gonna do it, don't say you're gonna do it. And if you say you're gonna do it, then do it. And he was really great about when we would have conversations, having us own what we say we're gonna do, right? And so I also had the ability with him to say, yeah, I'm not gonna do that. Right? I don't think that's possible. We had an open line of communication back and forth about what was attainable versus desired, which I'm gonna get into here in a little bit. But it was very simple. Once that meeting ends and we have a plan in place and we say we're gonna do it, do what you said you were gonna do. And people get lost in that accountability vacuum. They make accountability too complicated. It's really not that hard. It's exactly what Andy said yesterday. Let's get clear and agreed upon expectations. Let's make sure they have the tools and the resources to accomplish what we ask them to do, and let's follow up with them. And so the accountability vacuum kind of sucks people around, and they lose focus on what they're doing there, and so their wig dies in the whirlwind. What am I going to go into next is a foundation of 3 core beliefs. The first core belief is empowerment. Then we're going to talk about a culture of winning, and then we're going to talk about the 20-mile march. Before I get into this, the next section in your workbook is about how am I going to create a culture of winning in the next 6 months. And so before I start giving you the answers, and some of you have already been to these before, so you might have some context from what I've talked about previously, I want you to just, from your own frame of reference, write down, what am I going to do as the leader to create a culture of winning inside of my club? And then leave some space there if you want, and after I kind of give a different frame of reference on if you want to change your answer, you can. So I'm gonna give you guys just a couple of minutes here, take a second and write down what you're gonna do to create a culture of winning over the next 6 months in your business. All right, the first thing that I wanna share with you is that you are all awesome. You already have what it takes inside of you to run $1 million business. Every single one of you already has it, but it's about pulling it out. It's about using it. It's about applying it. It's about moving the thing forward. But you guys, you already have what it takes. The resources are out there. Andy gave me a quote about a year ago that really landed with me. We were talking about a situation and I was kind of being a little bit of a baby about it. And he's like, Chad, just stop. There is endless amount of time and there are endless amounts of resources in this world. You just don't want to figure it out bad enough. And I was like, you're right. And so you already have what it takes. You guys do. It's all out there in front of you. And so we want to really embrace this empowerment mindset that, I am great, you are great, we are great, the people around us are great. And the truth is, it's true. There is nothing that can hold you back from succeeding except yourself. There is so many opportunities out here in the world to be successful. And if you find yourself in a vacuum of struggle, you got to look at yourself in the mirror and you got to ask yourself, what am I doing to get myself out of this struggle? Or am I choosing to stay in it? And so that's the hard truth. The goal, find a way out, right? You have to believe in yourself. You have to empower yourself to believe that anything is possible. And we're gonna give you guys a roadmap today to make that happen. The other thing is empowerment is contagious. If you guys don't think that when you're struggling, that your team sees it, you're wrong. They do, right? When they don't see you empowered and they don't see you in belief, it trickles down, right? And empowerment is infectious. So we talked a little bit about build a culture of winning. I skipped a little bit forward there. So in a culture of winning, there's a couple of things that really matter. So number one is we don't just chase goals, meaning we don't just throw this random thing out there and then, we'll march at it for a little bit and then like, oh, squirrel, we're gonna go over here now and do this, right? We don't just chase, we're intentional with the goals that we set, just like we talked about yesterday with the vision. And one of the things that we talked about last night as a team, and I really loved what I saw yesterday, was some people really struggled to fill out that vision ladder. And it's because we don't think like that very often. And now that you do and the wheels are turning, then we're like, all right, we gotta get on the next part. We gotta get on the next part. We gotta get on the next part. And I loved how intentional people were being about like, no, what I need to think about this and I need to write this thing down. That's what don't just chase goals means, right? And we don't just throw things out there. Next. Oh, yeah, I can really hear myself now. We transfer the culture. And so this is on that, creating that winning. When you feel like you're winning and you're laser focused on your goals and you have your plan together, you have your strategy, you get your march, you are a complete package of awesomeness. You transfer that culture to your team members. And like I said earlier, one of the things that happens is if you're in a struggle, then that's what you're transferring to your team members, right? You got to come from a place of empowerment from yourself, empowerment from them, belief in yourself, belief in the system, and you transfer that down. One of the examples that I'll give, and just because we're in the state of Massachusetts, it just makes sense, is the New England Patriots, right? As much as I hate them, sorry for those of you that love them, you cannot argue with the culture of winning that they created over like a 15 or 16 year span, right? What's that? Oh, all right, well, 20 years, right? What they did there, and if you watch any documentaries on Tom Brady or study him at all, this transferring the culture, dude, as soon as he left, what happened to that team?
Bucks won, baby.
That's right, baby. He took that culture of winning to the next place, right? He set the tone. They had goals. He transferred his energy to them. And as much as I can't stand how much they beat the Colts over the years, you got to respect what the guy did, right? And he gets it. He creates that transfer of the culture of winning. When he is in the room, everybody elevates to him, right? There's another thing that I've heard out there called the Peyton Manning effect, which is Peyton Manning makes everybody around him better. And so Tom Brady obviously does the same thing. There's a lot of other examples in sports and in here of that. And so you have to transfer that. When you walk into the room with your team, the goal is for you to bring them up to you. That's what we're always trying to do. We're always trying to level them up. And then the last thing in the culture of winning is we measure what matters. We have to be able to, at the end of the day, is there anybody in here that isn't trying to do this to make money? Like, is there any charity people in here? No, we're all trying to make money, right? And so we have to measure what matters, which is exactly what Nathan Jesperman talks about, which is your EBITDA, right? At the end of the day, we have to be at the end of the road making money. And that is our goal. And it's one of the things that we're going to help you guys today. We're going to trickle measuring what matters up from net income to get you guys some stuff that's going to land with your team, right? Because you're not going to, most of you aren't going to go over your P&Ls with your team unless they're higher level team members. And so we're going to talk about measuring what matters inside our culture of winning today. Anybody familiar with the 20-mile march? Jim Collins wrote a book called Great by Choice. In that book, he tells a story about two men. These two men both had the desire to reach the South Pole. They wanted to be the first two men to reach the South Pole. One understood the power of discipline and consistency, and the other relied on heroic effort and good weather. The difference in their approaches reveals the most important leadership lesson of our time, and it's all about consistency. We've heard it from Young, slow and steady wins the race. And so let's talk about the difference. So I can't ever say this guy's name right, but Edmondson 20-mile march. They marched 20 miles every single day. Whether the weather was good, the weather was bad. If they could have gone 40 miles that day, they stopped at 20. If it was the hardest blizzard that they've ever marched through, they marched to 20. That was their goal. Every single day, in good and in bad, we're gonna get 20 miles. The result, they won the race to the South Pole, and some died, but most lived. The other guy is Scott, right? And so Scott was the complete opposite of that. Go, go, go. We're gonna push hard when conditions are perfect. We're gonna stall completely in storms. We're gonna have inconsistent daily progress. We're gonna exhaust our team and our resources. The result, they lost and they all died. Very sad story, but true. And so how does this land with us? One, we gotta set consistent performance markers. And one of the things I'm gonna talk about today is having the one thing in front of you every day that has to get done no matter what. You're non-negotiable. For Edmondson, it was the 20-mile march. They were going to march 20 miles every day no matter what. Two, don't overextend on good days. I think one of the things that I have experienced throughout my career, and I'm guilty of doing this to my team member, is when the tides are in our favor, I'm like, let's go, right? Like full speed ahead. When the wind is blowing behind us, let's get as far as we can today. And I am guilty of that. And there are times where it's appropriate. But I would encourage you to not overextend your team when you're riding the rush, right? Keep things consistent. We want to have a consistent daily march. The next one is I should have put allow. Don't allow underperformance on bad days, right? And you can take days and turn them into weeks. You can take weeks, turn them into months, however you want to frame it. But we're not going to allow people to have bad performance. I know I am guilty of this. Has anybody else in here ever kept a team member too long? Raise your hand if you have kept a team member too long, right? Been there, done it. Typically, when we're having bad days in the fitness industry, it is 100% people related. Almost always. There are some other mitigating circumstances, but when you have the right people in place, there are very few bad days. And so I talked to you about this a little bit yesterday, Mike, but I'm gonna kind of call on you and prompt here. We're gonna tell a short story about Mike and Kate Genualist. They had a club where they had a team member that they had held on to for too long. They were trying to get rid of this team member. There's things they liked about him, things they didn't. They eventually pulled the trigger and they let him go. And they hired a new girl that started middle of August. She's been through the 3-day live onboarding, and the performance that she has had, there's been no bad days, right? It's all good days. And in the 6 months leading into them terminating this other team member, was there a lot of bad days? There's a lot of bad days. And so the lesson there is that it's never the circumstance, it's always the people, right? And so they were able to replace a person, and now the tides are good. The last thing that we want to do is we want to build a psychological momentum, which means we want our team members in a winning space at all times. We want to have our team members coming to work every day feeling like they're winners. There's a really big difference between I show up to work today and I walk in and everybody's happy and we feel like we're winning and things are vibing and life is good, and I walk in and everybody's like, man, we got to sell some memberships today. I got to make some phone calls. I got to do some prospecting, right? We want to create that psychological momentum that carries over from day to day to day inside of our team. How we're going to connect your 20-mile march to your WIG, this is going to be in my workshop later. So your WIG is your expedition. Your lead measures are going to be your daily march. Your scoreboard is going to be your map, and your cadence is going to be your rhythm. And so we're going to put all this together as we go through today. And at the end of the day, I teach this is the 4th time I've taught this particular segment of our summit. And the driving principles don't change. It's all about how it lands with you guys. And as we were collecting WIG results and we're seeing things happen, one of the things that I am so passionate about is I want to see all of you crushing it. I mean, just absolutely crushing it. I like to win. I want you to want to win. And so that's why we spend so much time on this at every single summit, because the formulas that I'm talking about here creates winning. And so if you find yourself in a situation where the whirlwind is catching you and you're not struggling, make sure that when we send this recording back out, maybe you watch it again or find one from some of our previous conferences. But this right here, the March to your WIG, if you guys can take this and you can go apply it to your business and you can execute on it, you'll be on that first slide of people that we recognize that hit their goals. All right, here we go. Critical question. All right, what does a 20-mile march look like for you? And so what I want you guys to do, I just want you to take 3 minutes and write down one thing, one specific behavior that you can commit to every day that is gonna have the biggest impact on your business. We're not turning this into a science project, right? Just something, and you can change your answer later. But I want you to think about one specific action. What is one thing I can personally do every single day that will have the largest impact on my business? Ready, set, go. All right, while you guys are doing that, we're also gonna do the next thing in your workbook, because we're trying to speed this up a little bit, is as you're focusing on the one thing that you can do, think about the resources that you underutilized over the last 6 months. That's the last box on this first page here. So we're gonna focus on one specific behavior that you can commit to doing, and then I want you to think about the ways that you underutilized your resources in the last 6 months. All right. You guys are gonna have a little bit of time at lunch. If you need some more time to contemplate on these things, you can do that then. But we're gonna go ahead and keep moving through here. If you guys could, Andy, if you could kill the music for me. All right, so in order for you to get the most out of the back half of today, we need to re-educate on what the 4 disciplines of execution are, right? We need to just bring it all right back front and center. You guys are gonna do some really cool stuff this afternoon, and you're gonna wanna have these 4 disciplines right there fresh in front. So let's get into the first one, or a quick review of them. The 4 disciplines of execution are focus on the wildly important, act on your lead measures, create a cadence of accountability, and have a compelling scoreboard. These 4 things, when you mix them together, equals you hitting your WIG in the next 6 months. I want to talk about a little bit about 3 truths that will transform your results. So number 1, execution beats intention. I think we all have great intentions all the time, but intentions, if they don't add up into us keeping things right in front of us, you guys are picking up the theme here, right? We got to keep our goal right here. We got to make the march. We got to decide what's important. Intentions are wonderful, but execution beat them every time. We have to do focus over ideas. And so I used to work for a guy named Mike Gelfgott. Love me some Mike Gelfgott. Worked for him for a lot of years. And one of the things that he would consistently do is divide our focus. We would sit down, we would come up with a plan. We would say, all right, this is what we're going to do. We'd get about 2 weeks into it, and he'd read another book, and we'd come up with another plan. We'd get about 2 weeks into it, he'd read another book, we'd come up with another plan, right? And we were always coming up with new ideas. And so one of the things I loved about it is that he was so solution driven, right? He was so motivated and inspired to move our business forward that there was no shortage of ideas, but there was a lot of shortage of focus, right? We were ping-ponging everywhere, and we were able to do a pretty good job. But I think one of the things that, and Rob Moffat and I have been working on this, is that in your business, if you're not already great at the baseline items, then more ideas isn't going to move the needle forward at an extended rate over time. It might temporarily, you might have an idea, it might give you a little boost. Have another idea, it might give you a little boost. But we're looking for permanent things here. We need to focus on the things that matter. And then lastly, we need to have a system over hope. All right, one of the things that I kind of define this as is, sometimes when we're trying to hit our goals, we're like this, eyes closed, hoping things land. We're very system driven here at Mastermind Gym Solutions. That's why we spend almost half of a day of a summit every year talking about this specific system, because when it's applied, it works. So what is discipline 1, right? It's focus on the wildly important. Focus creates clarity. Clarity drives motivation. Motivation enables accountability. Accountability delivers performance. That's the saying here for why focusing on the wildly important is so beneficial. We want to create that focus for clarity. I have been parts of organizations where we knew where we were going. I've been parts of ones where we didn't. And the ones that know where we're going, that's where it's at, right? When I know, hey, this is what we're trying to accomplish, and when we do, this is how it benefits myself and everyone around me, there's a lot of clarity in that, and which then drives us to be motivated. Motivation creates accountability. Accountability delivers performance. What is some of the framework for success? So this is going to be really important as we go into this afternoon, that as you guys set your wigs, that you keep this in mind. Your wig must be specific and measurable. So a bad wig is, I want to get more revenue. It's measurable, right? But it's not super specific. So if you get $1 more revenue, did you hit your wig, right? We got to get specific. A really good wig is, I want to go from $30,000 a month in top line revenue to $35,000 a month in top line revenue by March 31st, 2026. And one of the things, and this is on us as strategic coaches, that we are failing you at, when you guys submitted your wig results, hardly any of you did it right. Like, nobody put, my wig was to go from A to B by C. And I'm like, you guys got good stuff in there, but the format is A to B by C, specific, measurable. Did you do it? Did you not do it? So keep that in mind when we submit wigs today and when we follow up with them in the future. The next is attainable yet challenging. And so my boss doesn't understand this concept. I love him to death, but he's like, you know what? We have never done this and no one ever has, and we're gonna do it next week. We can do it. And I love that about him. He inspires us. But when you go to set your wig, it needs to be attainable. You need to have a wig out there that your team and you feel like you can accomplish, which is what builds that culture of winning. One of the examples that I use here is, if let's say that we set a goal to raise top line revenue by 20K at one club over the next 6 months. That would be very specific and very measurable. However, if we only raise top line by 10K and we said we were going to raise it by 20K, what kind of environment does that create inside of our club? People are going to feel like they failed, but they raised it by 10K in 6 months. And if you look back at the trailing data, that's never happened before. We've never had a 6-month period at this one club example where we raised top line by 10K in 6 months. We did that, we crushed it, we accomplished something that has never happened, but yet we feel like we failed because we were targeting 20K, right? And there's a little bit more on this later, but you gotta have that attainable yet challenging aspect in there. There has to be a mixture of, we don't wanna just give them a layup, right? And so there's a couple of clients in here that I looked at their wigs as they were setting them, and some of my clients specifically, and I'm like, yeah, that's definitely attainable, but is it challenging? And they're like, yeah, so let's bump it up a little bit. And then I had other ones that were like, yeah, that's pretty challenging, but is it attainable? Like, maybe we need to scale it down. And I think you gotta decide for your team what that balance is. The next one is, it has to be time-bound with urgency. That's the C. I'm gonna go from A to B by C. And the last one is, it needs to emotionally resonate with your team. I talked to a lot of people about this. For me, money lands, right? So when Andy and I talk about what our goals are, they're financial goals. We want to have this much revenue. We want to make this much profit. That kind of language resonates with me, but it might not resonate with my team members, right? And so when I used to run the clubs, using language like, I want to increase training revenue from 15K to 20K by March 31st, although it's very specific, it's very measurable, it's attainable, it meets all the criteria, it might not land with them, right? They might, especially if their pay plan isn't tied into revenue, right? There can be factors that creates it not to land. So how can we say it differently? We want to grow our clients from 65 to 100 by March 31st, 2026. So we know, and you can do the math to figure out what this needs to be, but if I gain 35 clients in this time frame, I will raise my draft by 5K So I actually get the financial result I want, but I use a different language to motivate my team to get there. So another one for membership growth, increase membership revenue from 25K to 30K by March 31st. I love that. If I'm working for you, like that's what I want to hear. That is what motivates me. That is very clear to me. It lands. But for some people, they're like, oh, you're just always about the money. Anybody ever heard that from their team? All you guys care about is revenue. All you guys care about is, making more money, making more money. So if that's happening to you, maybe we want to do increase green members from 500 to 600 by March 31st, 2026. Gets us the same financial result. It's still measurable. It's still attainable. It's still the same thing. We just reword it. Overall revenue impact, top line revenue from 40K to 50K. Alternative would be increased PT penetration from 13 to 20% by March 31st, right? So there's all kinds of different ways you can put the skin on it, but it's got to resonate with your team.
For instance, can you have like increased PT remit from X to X by X, or ABC?
Yeah.
In one club, then in another club, okay, top line revenue.
Yeah.
So,
You can.
But have each club focused on one more, specific.
Yeah.
Whereas the other says, hey, I'm going after top line and I'll bring it
That's right.
all directions.
Absolutely. So in your example, having 6 clubs, the first thing you got to do is you got to set the enterprise target, right? So as an enterprise, we want to go from A to B by C. And then how you divvy that down to the clubs and the wording that you use and how you shake it out between them is a big part of the strategy, right? And I think that's something I talked about in New Orleans last year. Is you could have one club that what resonates with them is to go from X revenue number to Y revenue number by Z. But the next club, that might not land with them. And so you got to use the language with them that is increased green members from A to B by C. And that's okay to do on an individual club basis as long as you can keep track of it and you can remember, and that it all funnels up into the enterprise. Best practices do this. Involve your key players. And so if you're a one club operator, when you go down and you go to set your goal, your WIG goal, you should involve your key players. So at least your club manager. Get them involved in it so they have ownership in what they need to do and what we're all marching towards. We got to have strategy that supports it. We have to cascade the message effectively. We have to be able to visualize success, build momentum, and use trailing data. This is a big one. I was mentioning it earlier. So if my WIG is to go from 30,000 to 40,000 over the next 6 months, and there is no historical data to show that I've ever done that, ever. I've never raised in a 6-month period my total top line revenue by more than 3K. I should be able to know that, and I probably should consider, is this a good idea, right? Like how much did it go up in the last 6 months? How much did it go up in the 6 months before that? What's the biggest historical trend? The only difference would be unless you have some sort of major factor, I don't know, Tom Brady's coming to sell memberships at your club for the next 6 months and he's gonna be there every day for the next 6 months. You probably see some pretty crazy results with that. But if you don't have something like that in your pipeline, we have to use trailing data to help us decide what we should be doing. Don't make your WIGs vague or excessive, confusing urgency with importance, or fixating on lag metrics. Again, your WIG must resonate with your team. I skipped forward to this, so I'm gonna go through it. We already kind of hit this. I hit on this, but there's a couple of things on here that I wanna do, and it's this right here. Winning matters. That's what happens when you overset your goals. And I'm not trying to hold you guys back, right? If you're stallions and you got to get out the gate and and that's the way you roll, then more power to you. We'll support you. We'll help you do the best that we can. But it's really hard to create that culture of winning, right? When we're moving the needle forward. And that's what I really want to land today, is that we need to create that culture of winning. Winning and the daily march combined together help us continue to see results month after month after month after month. We also have to have strategies that support everything, which you're going to build later. Discipline 2, we need to act on our lead measures. Lead measures are the behaviors you control that predict the lag results that you want. And so I think a lot of times people get this one confused, and instead of taking the word act they say, I need to implement lead measures, or I need to identify lead measures, or some sort of like metric accumulation system. No. You need to act on your lead measures. Let's talk about what that means. Lead versus lag, the critical difference. A lag measure is what's already done. We're looking back in the past at something. So sales closed, revenue brought in, customer satisfaction scores. It's something that we can't control anymore. It's already done, it's in the bank, it's a lag measure, it's a historical item that gives us context for what we're capable of, right? And lag measures are really important. A lead measure are behaviors and activities that give us the results that we want. And where a lot of people get confused here is that every lead measure eventually becomes a lag measure, right? Because we're measuring behaviors, we're measuring activities, we're doing things. And so tomorrow my goal is to make, my lead measure is to make 30 calls, right? That's my lead measure for tomorrow. So the next day after that is a lag measure. Did I do the 30 calls or not? What impact did it have? And that can get confusing sometimes. The biggest thing that we want to look at to define it is its behaviors and activities. Behaviors and activities, it's controllable things that we can do. Examples: calls made, appointment setting, training hours completed. The reminder here, 20% of every single day should go towards our daily march. These are focusing on our lead measures. Every single day we have to spend at least 20% of our day focusing on something that helps us hit our WIG. A lead measure is a big part of that. Good characteristic of a lead measure: predictive, influenceable, controllable, and measurable. This is the litmus test for a lead measure. If you have selected a lead measure for your business and it is not predictive, influenceable, controllable, or measurable, you need to pick a different lead measure. Good examples here. So for our sales team, 400 calls per week. That's a strong lead measure. One of the things that I'm finding working with a lot of my clients is this lead measure right here, game changer. When they actually do it, when the clubs are actually making, 30 to 50 calls a day every single day. 400 might not be the right volume number, but giving them a focus of, hey, we're gonna make X amount of phone calls outbound to people every day to set appointments. Davin shared some results with me, and I'm gonna kind of make up some of this because I can't remember the exact numbers, but I'm just gonna tell the story around it. We started focusing on 30 phone calls a day earlier this year. He got a report from his FBC that trailing 6 months versus the 6 months before that, they set as a 5-club unit like 1,000 appointments more than they did in the 6 months before that. Is that close, Davin? It was like 1,000, wasn't it? Ish. Yeah. Oh, it was more? Oh, yeah. So they set 1,000 appointments more, and the only thing that they changed was this focus right here. They told their team, you are going to make phone calls every single day. We're not gonna accept why you didn't do it. It's gonna happen. And then guess what happened when they set more appointments? They got more shows. Guess what happened when they got more shows? They got more closes, they got more memberships, they got more PT clients. They doubled their WIG target. And the biggest thing they changed is this one focus. Another lead measure could be 80% booking rate at POS, and then an hour of sales training each week. Robbie, you had your hand up?
I was just wondering if that was 30 calls a day.
I think
front of the house versus back of the house.
No, I think 30 calls per day per department. Yeah. So if you have 2 people selling memberships, they don't necessarily need to make 30 calls each, just 30 calls between the 2 of them. But for your PT, 30 calls, and then for membership, 30 calls. Marketing focus, right? So you should have lead measures attached to your marketing efforts, right? 30% of your new leads from self-generated efforts. This is one of the things Kyle Henning and I talked pretty extensively about over the last few weeks, is there's all these metrics out there around what percentage of your leads should book an appointment. We at Mastermind coach 60% of your leads should book an appointment, and that is because we are teaching you guys how to get self-generated leads. We're teaching you guys how to get referrals, Google reviews, business-to-business partnerships, corporate relationships where people are driving their employees to you. And those leads are gonna book at a higher rate than a Facebook digital ad lead. Kyle, correct me if I'm wrong, but digital leads book 35, 40%, pretty standard? 30 to 35%. We want a good lead measure for marketing is for every 100 leads we get, we want 30 of them to come from self-generated effort. That's a solid lead measure, right? 15 follow-up touches per cold lead. weekly content creation schedule, things like that, right? So these are some examples of some lead measures you can do. This is what I'm all about though. Knowing that I need to, setting a target for 30% of my leads to come from self-generation. It's easy to say. I just said it, right? It didn't take me any effort at all to say it. Now, how are you gonna do it, right? That's the question. Do you have the strategy to do it? And then do you have the daily march to keep it relevant? I have seen this, and I love me some Davin. And one of the things that he was doing when I first started working with him, dude, they had like 5 or 6 lead measures on both sides of the house that he was tracking. And I'm like, dude, too much. Like, let's scale it. I'm not saying these things aren't important. Let's scale it down to 1 to 2 things that are gonna have the biggest impact on your business. So we did that. Then we created the strategy. And now that we only have 2 things that we're focusing on, it's much easier to keep it right here in front, right? Hey guys, did you make your 30 calls today? Yep. How many appointments you set from that? Yep. Perfect. On to the next thing, right? We're really driving the strategies and the behaviors, right? So a couple examples, do we have scripts? You guys should have that. Are we doing role play, spot coaching? Do they have accountability partners, daily check-ins? The strategies are as broad as they are wide, depending on the lead measure that you choose. And so what we're gonna do after lunch is you're gonna identify some lead measures, then you're gonna come up with the strategy to hit that lead measure. So for example, if I wanna book 70% let's go show percentage, that's a much easier one. I want 60% of my membership appointments to show. That's a pretty strong lead measure, right? What is the strategy that we're gonna do to deploy that? An answer would be, I'm gonna have all my Club OS automation set up and it's gonna be super tight, 24-hour, all the way back from 2 hours before their appointment and backwards, 2 hours before, 24 hours before. The moment they book, I'm gonna have a call drop, whatever it is, right, that you're gonna do to help that happen. I'm gonna coach my team on what to do. One of the things Jackie O'Mara did that I love is she built a very simple little form that they get. It's like 3 questions, right? So as soon as they book an appointment, a text goes out, ask them 3 very simple questions. What are the questions, Jackie? You remember?
There's one for team muscle and membership. For membership, it's, have you ever been into the club? What are your current fitness goals? And then I was wanting that to put down their name because I guess everybody decides who actually filled it out when I come back. So I think I said, to confirm that we have your last name spelled correctly, please confirm it.
Oh, perfect, right? And so to me, I think the 3 questions can be variable. What you're trying to get a response, right? Because a response indicates I'm likely to show up, right? And so we worked through a very strong strategy together to what we're gonna do to increase her show percentage on her membership appointments. Then the next step is the 20-mile march. We gotta keep it relevant, right? Every single week, and I think Jackie can attest to this. Jackie, in our calls here recently, we've been pretty redundant.
I mean, yeah, but then obviously when it's time to move on, that's right.
Yeah, and
You are great about making sure I get
that's right. So we identified, this is where we wanna go. These are the key things that are gonna get us there. And we got to keep them relevant and fight the whirlwind. So every time I meet with Jeff's team, including his daughter Jackie, we always circle back to, what are we doing? Are we doing the daily march? Are we doing all the shit that we said we were going to do to get where we said we were going to go? Or are we letting the whirlwind capture us? Got to have that. Discipline number 3, keep a compelling scoreboard. Could you guys imagine going to a sporting event and there's no scoreboard? Like, I couldn't imagine. You don't know how much time's left. You don't know where they're at in the game. You don't know who's winning. You don't know who's losing. You're literally just watching them, play the sport. Sounds like zero fun to me. And so we want to keep a compelling scoreboard at your club because people play differently when they know you're keeping score. I have been a part of organizations that kept score. I've been a part of ones that don't. And the ones that keep score consistently and drive accountability through their scoreboards always outperform, at least in my experience, the ones that do not. And so with a scoreboard design, it should have these 5 simple characteristics. Number 1, it should have 5-second readability. Strangers should be able to look at it, know who's winning, if you're winning or losing. Andy called me on this. We created a new scoreboard and he's like, too complex. I'm like, it's so simple. And he's like, go show it to your wife and see if she can tell if you're winning or losing. All right. So next morning I showed it to her and she's like, I have no clue what that means. I'm like, damn it, right? He's right. It needs to be simple, quick, at a glance. Am I winning or am I losing? It needs to be team owned, energizing, and I like to be colorful. Right? Does it have to be? No, not necessarily. Ours is super simple. If you're on track, Your percent to goal projected turns green. If you're not on track, your percent to goal projected turns yellow, right? So there's just some color coding in there to kind of draw your eyes to things. Scoreboard design requirements, there's a few things that must be on your scoreboard. Number one, you gotta have your wig. And so I've seen a lot of scoreboards from a lot of you over the years, and we have to have two different variations of the scoreboard. And so on the left, we have like a little scoreboard that's where we at this month, right? Because we gotta have our monthly scoreboard. Here's our goal for this month, where we at? And then I always like the barometer on the right side that's keeping track of our progress towards our 6-month wig, right? So every month that goes by, we're filling this barometer up, the monthly counter resets, and we're trying to get this barometer to be full. So it should show the wig, it should track your lead measures, should have your progress, and then we really fail at this, and I need to get better at it, is recent wins on the scoreboard. In our wig meetings, we always start every single meeting with tell me something good, give me a win. Matt Wilson is like the give me a win king. I think he starts every call he does with that. I love it. But having your wins written down on your scoreboard is a critical design. It really shows, gets people engaged. People get excited to write what those wins are. This is a sample scoreboard, revenue growth wig. Our wig is to increase top line revenue from 40 to 50K by March 31st. And so I can clearly see what my current monthly revenue is. I can see that I'm 2.7K up from baseline. I can currently see what my goal is. I can see what my target was. I can see the calls this week versus target. I can see my FC booking rate to target. This is just an example of what a scoreboard could look like if it were, this is what ours, very similar to what ours looks like, right? It's not all fancy and doesn't have like a football player and like we're lame. Or you could do something like this one over here. This is much prettier, but that's just an example. About 4 more slides and we're going to lunch. Discipline 4, create a cadence of accountability. The key idea here is public commitments, peer-to-peer accountability, doing what you said you were going to do. We're going to do some pretty cool role play on this later, but we have to have that cadence of accountability. Meetings are the heartbeat of your business. And I know there's probably some of you in here that are like, I hate meetings. I get meeting to death. I get you. Right? But we got to be intentional with our meetings. And so every club should have at minimum these 5 meetings. You should have a daily huddle. Our team meets every day at 9 a.m. 9 a.m. Eastern, we get on the call, we have a huddle, we get energized, we do an icebreaker, we talk about what our focuses are going to be today. We kick our day off. Ours is a little bit more lax because we don't, we're all spread out all over the country. But the concept of the daily huddle is, all right, I set my goal for this week in the WIG meeting on Monday. I'm supposed to sell 10 memberships this week. That means I need to sell 2 a day. I only work 5 days this week. Today's Wednesday. I should be at 4. Where am I at, right? It's where am I at towards my goal for this week? If I'm not on track, what am I going to do to get on track, right? Just little daily production huddles. And we got to have our weekly WIG check-in. I'm a huge fan of team meetings. And so in a team meeting, it's about club happenings. It's about culture. It's about, hey, what are we doing? It's accumulation of all the things that we've been talking about, one-on-ones, and then you got to have monthly recaps and kickoffs. To me, this is like the minimum meeting schedule for your club. So you got a daily huddle, you got weekly WIG check-ins, you got a weekly team meeting, you got your one-on-one meetings, and then every month you should have a recap of what we accomplished this month and then kick off next month with their goals. I know a lot of you do that, but meetings are the heartbeat of your business. It's a great opportunity for you to drive this cadence of accountability. It's a great opportunity for you guys to revisit with your team what's going on. Weekly WIG meeting format. We got to keep it short and focused. One of the things that should happen is that this meeting should be its own meeting. You should not blend this meeting in with other meetings. There should be a hard stop line if you do, but this meeting needs to be its own meeting. First thing we do, we're going to review the scoreboard. Where we at? Second thing we're going to do, we're going to report on last week's goals and commitments. Then we're going to keep score on performance. And so the format for these is I have a commitment every week and I have a goal. So my goal is to sell 10 memberships this week. My commitment to do that is to make 400 phone calls. I believe that by making 400 phone calls, that is a controllable for me. I will then hit my goal. And so every week we report on did I do it or didn't I do it? And I'm gonna get into the scoring in a minute. Then the next thing we do is we commit for next week, and then we celebrate victories and we coach shortcomings. The scoring for this meeting is 0, 1, 2. If I hit my goal and I got my commitment, I get a 2. If I did one or the other, I get a 1. And if I did neither, I get a 0. F zeros. We don't get zeros, or at least we don't get them consistently. Right? Things happen, the whirlwind comes up. You can get a 0 every now and then, right? But if we have somebody that's consistently getting a 0, either 1, they're oversetting their goals, or 2, they don't know how to execute and do what they say they're gonna do. And so inside the commitments, remember the commitment portion of this needs to be controllable. So you cannot have a commitment to sell 10 memberships. That's a goal, because you can't control directly whether you can sell 10 memberships. Your commitment needs to be action and behavior based so that you have at least a chance to get a 1, right? Because at least if you did what you said you were going to do, if you made the 400 phone calls, but you didn't get the 10 memberships, then we need to identify what happened inside of there. Let's come up with a different commitment to get to the goal. But I don't want to get a 0. We don't do zeros. Zeros are bad. Stay away from zeros. Following up on Andy's thing from yesterday, the last step here for accountability is we have to have those clear and agreed upon expectations. We have to have tools to succeed, and we got to have our follow-up systems in place. And we'll do this one after lunch because it directly correlates. So we're going to come back from lunch today. We're going to do our wig rollout strategies, and then we're going to go into our workshop. So I'm going to go ahead and dismiss you guys here. Let's come right here. All right, so as you guys go to lunch today, you guys have gift cards that we provided you in your bags. You guys can go wherever you want. Quincy Market is where we suggest. Before you go, if you have never given us a review, we would love for you to do so. We are a small business, just like your guys' businesses are. We thrive off of reviews. If you could just take a minute, come up here, scan the QR code, and then you can give us a review as you're all throughout your day. We would really appreciate it, especially going to the Anytime Fitness Conference. That'll really help us. All right, it is time for us to get into some workshops. The rest of my afternoon with you all, we are gonna take everything that I taught in the first half, and we're actually gonna put it into application. All right. So we're gonna take everything we learned this morning. Inside your guys' workbooks, there's stuff that went with what I talked about this morning. I know I didn't do as well as Katie and Matt did with guiding you through my presentation through the workbook, but there are areas in here that you'll be able to write in during this next part. If you flip to page 29, and then the last page in the workbook, there's some open dialogue there. So if you guys need to take some notes, that's what's up. All right, here we go. Let's jump into this. All right, so to start us off, I want to get you guys' brain thinking. We're going to take your 5-year vision from yesterday. We're going to ladder it all the way down to a 6-month wig. One of the things that we started thinking about when we were doing the 10X is easier than 2X concept is imagine your business at 10X right now. Put yourself there and think about what kind of challenges are you going to be solving then? What is your life going to be like? What kind of things are going to be going on in your business? What support, what resources are you going to have? And put yourself in that place and then start building your business as if those things were already true. And so the first thing I want to do is I want you guys to imagine if Andy owned 100 clubs and tomorrow he comes up to you and he says, you know what? I really, really like you. I'm just gonna give you my 100 club. But I need you to know this, I just opened all 100 of them in like the last year. And so it's not a well-oiled machine. It's just 100 pure clubs. Here you go. Good luck. Get after it. And so what the exercise here is if someone gifted you 100 clubs tomorrow and you had to immediately start running those 100 clubs, what would you need? How would you be different? What kind of support team would you need? Cultural framework, chain of command, retention strategy. I really want you guys to, get rid of the noise and imagine I go from how many clubs I have today to 100 clubs tomorrow. What needs to change for me? And inside your workbooks in this last page of the workbook, page 31, just kind of start brainstorming some things, right? What would need to be different? What kind of systems and processes what I need in place that I don't have now? What would I need to do better at? Accounting, HR, the list goes on and on and on. But I want you to envision yourself at 100 clubs. Today you don't know you have 100 clubs, tomorrow you do. You're freaking out. Where are you gonna start? I'm gonna give you guys about 3 or 4 minutes to kind of just really think about what are the things that I would need to do differently if I went from where I am today to 100 clubs in the snap of fingers. Give you about 3 or 4 minutes and go. You now have 100 clubs. You can do wherever.
We all agreed that our first step is to call you.
Is this for another activity?
This is for an activity, yeah. You're gonna be inside your workbooks right now. This is coming up. Your coloring materials are coming up. I haven't eaten there for so long. 100 clubs tomorrow. Holy moly, I'm freaking out. What am I gonna do? You have 100 clubs. Think about operations. What do we need to do differently operationally? What do we need to do differently in the sales funnel, the service funnel? Maybe I should have used bigger font on my slide. Thinking. It's okay. Nobody pays attention to slides anyway. Yeah, exactly like that. Exactly like the emails. What are you gonna do different, Stacy? 100 clubs tomorrow.
I got it. I call you and Andy, I hire you, I'm out, and then we get an exit strategy to sell them. I make money, I'm done.
So since you're done, would you grab that Sharpie right there for me? And would you go up to come up to the sheet with me?
There's 2.
What's that? Oh. The 100 Club Challenge. You have 100 clubs tomorrow. You woke up to tomorrow and Andy gave you 100 clubs. What do you need to do differently? Think about operationally, sales, culture, service. What needs to change from where you are today? We're thinking big here, thinking big. All right. So hopefully you guys got something written down. Why do we do this? So the next part of this is you are gonna write, so why do we do that? I want you thinking big, I want you thinking down the road, I want you thinking differently, because now you're gonna take your 5-year vision from yesterday and you're gonna create a strategy ladder down. The first thing you're gonna do, I want you to write your 5-year vision in one simple statement. One simple statement. My 5-year vision is to own a yacht. My 5-year vision is to have 100 clubs. My 5-year vision. Simplify your 5-year vision into a very simple sentence that says, yep, when I get there, this is what it's gonna be. Take 1 minute, do that. You can go back to the vision part with Katie that you did yesterday. You could write it there, so it's all together. We're gonna ladder this down. All right, so now we did the 100 Club Challenge, should have got us thinking. I want you to put yourself at whatever your goal was at the end of the 5 years. Put yourself right there today. And I want you to ask yourself, what challenges am I facing 5 years from now when I'm at my vision that I'm not facing today? Some of them might overlap with what you did with the 100 clubs. That's why we did that first, get your kind of brains thinking. But I want you to start thinking about what is happening inside my life that's not happening now, business-wise. What are the challenges that I'm gonna be facing when I'm at my 5-year goal that right now I'm not even thinking about? All right, hopefully we've got some juices flowing. We're thinking about, oh man, 5 years from now I'm at my goal. What's my life gonna be like? What kind of challenge am I gonna be facing? Now we're gonna bring it down one more layer on the ladder. The final year of your vision, that 4-year mark to the 5-year mark. What are you doing? What are you focusing on? What is your intent? Where are you directing yourself, your company, what's your language like? You know, you're in that 4th year, you're on your way to that 5-year. What are we doing? Go ahead and take a minute, write that down. This is gonna become your strategic North Star. I'm in year 4 to 5. I'm on my way, I'm making my march to whatever my 5-year vision was. What's my focus in that final year? Remember, these are strategy items here. We're not talking about tangibles. So if your goal was to have $100 million in 5 years, that's your vision. We're not talking right now about, okay, by year 4, I need to have 80 million. That's not what we're doing right now. We're thinking strategies. We're thinking, what are the things that you're gonna be focusing on that are gonna drive you in that final year? are going to be the key strategies that you have to deploy to get from year 4 to year 5. All right. Looks like most people are done. All right. Bringing it down one more layer of the ladder. I want you to write down 3 key evolutions that need to happen between years 2 and 3 for you. All right, so we're backing this all the way up. I got my 5-year vision. What am I going to be focusing on in the 4th year? Now I'm looking at what am I focusing on in years 2 and 3. 3 evolutions that I need to do to stay on track. We're going to write these down. We're going to think about what do I need, how do I need to evolve by the 3-year mark. All right, now we're coming down to the 1st year. So it starts today, our vision for our 5 years. Over this 1st year, what has to happen? How do we need to change? How do we need to evolve? What are the first steps that we need to take to get to year 2, 3, 4, and 5? We want to avoid generic outcomes here. We want to stay focused on strategy that's going to drive our results. So like a generic outcome for the 1st year would be, I need to hire an HR person. Okay, well, that's good, right? It's not a bad thing, but what's the strategy behind that, right? What's the layer deeper than that? Or we don't want to have things like, I need to hit a certain benchmark financially. This is all strategy focused. We're thinking about our business, our operations, our service, our sales funnel, all the things that make the wheel turn in that 1st year for you to be on track at the end of year 1. What are your maximum of 3 strategic priorities that have to happen? All right, now we're going to take those 3 priorities and we're going to bring them down to this next 6 months. I want you to circle the one thing of those 3 priorities that you just wrote down for the 1st year. What's the biggest mover? What's the thing in the next 6 months that has to happen? If this thing doesn't happen, the other 2 can't happen. The rest of the dominoes can't fall over the next 2, 3, 4, and 5 years. What is the number one thing that has to happen right now, starting tomorrow? Because today we're going to have some fun. All right, so if you look at it in reverse, what you should have now, we started with the end in mind on purpose. We should have, here's what I need to do right now. Here's what I need to do this year. Here's what I need to do in year 2 and 3. Here's what I need to do in year 4. And here's what I need to do. Well, year 4 is it. By year 5, you're going to be there. All right, these are all the things that need to happen in order for you to get to that 5-year vision. And the goal for today isn't to walk away from this with like this fully vetted out deal with your 5-year vision. It's to get you going, right? You probably have to circle back to this. Your vision might change. As you think about it more, your answers might change, and that's okay. The goal for today is just to get us started. We're not going to create a 5-year vision for your company with a full plan in a 2-hour workshop. It's just too much to do, but we're getting those juices flowing. All right, now we're going to milestone it. This is the revenue. If you pick something revenue-wise, this is a tangible milestone, right? So at the 4-year mark, what tangible milestone needs to be hit for you to be 80% of the way there? So if I wanted, in my example, if I wanted to have $100 million by year 5, that was my vision. I wanted to create a $100 million company. By the beginning of year 4, my benchmark would be I need to have an $80 million company. All right, so you want to take something tangible here. And what is our 4-year benchmark? So I wanted to have 100 clubs. If my 5-year vision was to have 100 clubs, I would need to have 80 by the 4th year to be on track for that. Now we're going to go one layer back. What's our 3-year milestone? Where do we need to be at the 3-year mark? This is not strategy anymore. We already did that. It's this tangible item. Where do I need to be towards my goal or my vision for my 5-year at the 3-year mark? Because you guys can't guess what's coming next. Where do you need to be at the 2-year mark and then the 1-year mark? So let's go ahead and knock those all out at once. So by the time this part is done, we're going to have a 4-year milestone, a 3-year milestone, a 2-year milestone, and a 1-year milestone, along with the strategies that you just created to support those milestones. Here comes the fun part. So you wrote your 5-year vision in one sentence. Now we're gonna bring this down and we're gonna weave back in our daily march concepts. We're gonna set some wigs. We're gonna call our wig our base camp for today, right? This is where I'm starting. Over the next 6 months, what is your wildly important goal? We're gonna go from A to B by C. What is your business gonna accomplish? And so if you guys remember earlier, you can choose a bunch of different ways to word it. You can do money, you can do percent increase, you can do X amount of clients. You can word it however you want, but it all needs to tie in to the reverse ladder of this 5-year vision and these benchmarks. So this one's probably gonna take a few minutes. So if you're here with team members, right? You can, work together on this. You can work with your table. I'm gonna give you guys about 10 minutes because this is a big deal. This is what you're gonna focus on with your strategy coach over the next 6 months. This is gonna be your wig. And some of you are in progress. That's okay. Go ahead and use what you already have created with your coach for that. A to B by C, 6 months, gonna get me to my year, gonna get me my 2, my 3, my 4, my 5 year. Ready, go. Okay.
So we've done wigs with Matt for all 6 of our clubs.
Okay.
Are we looking for numbers, or are we looking for how?
If you guys have already set your wig with him, then whatever you set with him, you just write it right here. So if it was for the enterprise to go from 500,000 a month to 700,000, that's
per club.
Per club.
I don't know.
So you could just write. So for this room, right, we want to look at the whole, right? So you could just write, you need to figure it out after you leave here, but just add it all up across the 6 and A to B by C for the enterprise. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was trying to remember, like I divided the 6 to do each one.
Yeah. Which you will scale it down to them like that, right? That's why we do those roadmaps, right? But it should all add up to a bigger thing that the enterprise is trying to accomplish.
We didn't do that.
Well, you did it unknowingly, right? You just got to add it all up. Did you guys do the roadmap exercise with him? No.
He was just asking us
For a club? That's okay. Yeah, so at some point, you just add that up, and now that's what your enterprise is trying to accomplish. And so what we'll look at, at the end of your time frame is, simple example could be, let's say your goal was to go from 100,000 to 200,000, right, across your 6 clubs. And 5 of your clubs didn't move at all, but 1 of them raised it by 100,000. Then technically as an enterprise, you got what you were looking for. You didn't get it in the segmentation that you wanted, and we're probably not thrilled that 5 of the clubs didn't move, but at the end of the day, we still got what we wanted. And so that's what we're basing things off of today, right?
How much more time do we have? We can look it up online.
What's that?
How much time do we have?
Probably a few more minutes. But I mean, this is if you got to write it down later, it's okay, right? Because the next part we're going to go into, it doesn't matter what your timeline is or what your actual total cumulative is. It's very tactical.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Right, which is where after we draft this, then we're going to go down into, like, for example, if I need to book, I've had to have a 65% show rate, and that's the number 1 lever that drives my wig. What is my strategy going to be to that? What is my daily march going to be to make sure that stays right here for everybody, right? So then we're going to work through identifying those levers, and then how we're going to keep it from getting caught in the whirlwind. That's the next couple of slides. All right. Hopefully everybody's got some wigs set. Raise your hand if you need more time. Raise your hand if you need more time. I'm just going to get an idea for the room here. Got a few people. All right, I'll give you guys a couple more minutes, and we're going to move on down the trail. What's your wig, Dale?
So it's a little confused because my wig and our goal in 5 years is to get to 10 clubs. So we're trying to figure out how to tie our short-term plan to that, because it would be based off reps on clubs, right?
Sure.
Like, give their clubs, current clubs a certain
So what's the first financial benchmark you have to hit to buy the next club? Right? That would be, what can we do in the next 6? So if let's say I need to have $100,000 in capital to buy a club, and right now I have 50, probably can't raise 50 in capital in the next 6 months. Maybe I can, right? But can I raise 20? Can I raise 10? And then what do I need to do revenue-wise to net what I need? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Just that. What is the first step in the process? What has to happen first?
So, I've been talking about this with Matt and about lead measures, right? So, I think keeping it simple, there's some significance in that.
Yeah.
Have you ever gone with leads as being a lead measure?
Oh yeah.
Because Carly being brand new, I think it's really going to incentivize her of why she's going out business to business. If someone walks into the lobby, she tours them but doesn't get them on the iPad, right? She's going to feel
Gotta
that.
capture it.
So we only brought in 108 leads this month. Like I want 200.
Yeah. 108 leads is not bad.
To get me to 50 though.
Yeah.
Is my goal, right?
Sure.
So the math for me checks out. What do you think about lead measures?
I love that. Well, I'm actually going to talk about that next. As the owner, that is the number one lead measure that you are actually responsible for, is making sure that they have leads.
Mm-hmm.
Then everything else trickles down from there, right?
I mean, she's a closer. I mean, she's closing at 70%. My FCs are showing up at 70%. So I mean, we've got that dialed in. I just
got to get the leads.
Yeah. It's good.
So leads as a lead measure is a great lead measure. Hopefully you have enough written down to go from A to B by C. So now we have our wig. We're gonna go from A to B by C. Now we gotta identify our levers, our drivers, our lead measures. For those of you that have heard me talk about this before, there's one thing that I will continue to say. As the owner of the company, the number one lead measure that you are responsible for is making sure that your team has leads to work with. That is the number one thing as the owner that you have to make sure you provide for them. They have to have leads. Without leads, we can't do any of this other stuff, right? And so understanding that, now we're gonna go into, you're gonna pick just 2. You might focus on more, that's okay. For today, you're gonna pick the 2 biggest drivers to hit whatever it is that you wrote down from A to B by C. You're gonna have 2 membership lead measures and 2 personal training lead measures. Again, you might have 5, 6, 7, 8 that you're looking at on a regular basis, you're coaching your team on, that's all fine and dandy. But for right now, we're gonna figure out which are the top 2. What are the 2 that are the biggest drivers to this? I put some examples up here. Outbound calls, POS consult booking rate, show percentage, referral asks, booked appointments per day on the membership side. Those are just some examples on the training side. FC's booked, show percentage, close percentage. We could say our average deal is going to be our biggest driver to it. 90% collection rate, 100% completion of the DC3, 75% of our clients assessed every 8 weeks, 65% renewal at the end of people's term. These are just examples, right? You'll have to pick what lands for you. But what we're going to do here is you're going to pick 2. 2 biggest drivers for lead measure on the membership side, your 2 biggest drivers for lead measures on the personal training side. So I want you guys to think about that. What is going to have the biggest impact? I'll give you about 5 minutes to identify what you think those should be, and we'll go on to the next one. A couple of things to keep in mind here. They need to be predictable, controllable, measurable, and worth measuring. 2 membership lead measures, 2 personal training lead measures. These are going to be the 2 things that drive your business the most. We got to have our 2 lead measures defined for each side now. All right. So now you're going to use your cool stuff that I gave you, your guys' big Post-it notes and your pens, and you're going to do a little exercise with your table. Can I have your attention, please? Thank you. All right, here's what we're going to do. You're going to work with your table here. Everybody's kind of got some different lead measures. It's okay. You're going to identify 2 you're gonna work with your team here and you say, all right, we're gonna pick these 2 membership lead measures. We're gonna pick these 2 personal training lead measures, and we're identify the strategies that have to happen in order for us to hit them. You're gonna work as a team here, right? So if your lead measure is 65% show on appointments booked, you got to have your strategy underneath that's going to support that. So I need to have all my Club OS automation. We need to do this. This is what needs to be our confirmation sequence. Whatever your strategies are to support that lead measure, the activities that make it happen. And then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to identify your march to that. What are you going to do every single day to keep it relevant? What is your strategy going to be for making sure that you hit it every single day? We cannot go weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and get caught in the whirlwind and let our strategy go. And so you guys are going to use your papers here and you're going to write down what lead measure you identified, the strategies that support it, and then the daily march underneath it for your 2 strategies on the membership side, 2 strategies on the training side. And we are playing for money here. So what's gonna happen is my team, after you guys as a table come up with your 2 lead measures for PT, your 2 lead measures for membership, your strategies, and your daily march. We're gonna go around to each table. You're gonna read off what you had. My team is gonna sit back there. We're gonna listen. We're gonna evaluate. And then we're gonna give points. The team that we think did the best is gonna get 3 points, then 2, then 1. And then there's gonna be 3 more exercises like this. Whichever table gets the most points at the end is gonna get a little prize. Yeah, you use the papers for that, yep. All right, ready, go. You guys are working together as a table now to do this.
Together we have 1 lead measure.
2.
2.
2 for PT, 2 for membership, strategies that support them, and tactics to keep them square.
As if we're all 1 club.
Yeah, as if you're 1 club. Yeah. You guys are gonna act like your club, your table is 1 club. Hell yeah. I got more. If you mess up, just let me know. That's why you got 3 of them. Use a whole piece of paper. Okay.
So we are trying to choose the second lead measure.
Okay.
And we're considering number of FCs booked.
That would be a wonderful lead
but it's
measure.
also the lag of this. Right. So
Oh, you're overthinking it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. FC bookings is the best lead measure for success on PT, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. Yeah, this one leads to that one. So they, they're married.
They're married.
They work really well together.
Yeah.
Right?
Let's do it then.
And they're also 2 really great drivers, right? We know that if we do this, we book FCs. We know if we book FCs, we sell trainings, right? So those are 2 main drivers. So those are good choices. All right, you guys have about 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
This needs to be something like, you got to put a lead here.
So we have to have 2 goals for each.
So this is an okay lead measure, right? So once I get the 200 leads, what's the next thing that I have to do? Is it appointment bookings? Is it show percentage? Is it close percentage? Right?
This is a goal, 50 new members.
We need to have.
Yep.
So that's
So we
not
need
a
2.
lag.
How many clothes?
It's a lead measure. It's the best lead measure ever.
Well, I know it's good. Gives
Yeah.
out
So
there.
then you just got to identify. So this is one of your lead measures.
So these are 2 leads.
Then, well, this is your goal,
Those are goals.
right? This is a lead measure here. So we know that if we get 200 leads, that's the first step in us hitting 50 new members.
I think the show percentage, right?
So then you could do
appointment.
appointments booked from these leads. You could do show percentage. You just have to ask yourself, which one is the one I need to focus on the most?
So we need another goal, and then we need to write how we're going to get to each of those goals.
Yeah, you just need another lead measure.
What about
Right. So
contact?
goal is a lead measure is a goal, right? So I would put, if it were me, I would say, see, 50% show rate on appointments set. And then if you look up at the screen, you can actually steal the answer for the strategy because that's the one you chose. So then underneath that, now how are we going to get, what's our strategy to get 200 leads? What's our strategy to get a 50% show rate? And then how are we going to keep it relevant? Right? Does that make sense? All right, show and tell time. Pencils down, pens down, everybody back to your tables. All right, so we're gonna go around the room really quickly and you're gonna identify what your lead measures were, what your strategy was to support it, and how you're gonna keep it relevant. All right, we're gonna start with table 1 over here. Stacy. We're gonna start with table 3 over here. All right, so when everybody's gotta quiet down so we can hear Laura. All right, Laura, tell us what you got. Or Joy.
Sure, because I might steal your job next year. Because we
Have at it.
nailed it.
All right, let's hear it.
For the money. So don't copy our answers because we have the winning one already. So we chose 30 calls a day and 80% FC booking at point of sale for our front of house people. And then for PT, 30 calls per day and booking 10 FCs per week for those guys. The strategies that we're going to use are the Club OS automations, text, phone calls, role playing and spot coaching, and having readily available call scripts. And then to keep it relevant, we're going to crush the cadence of accountability with our WIG meetings, daily huddles, one-on-ones, and so on. And lastly, a really cool scoreboard.
Okay. Nice job. All right. What'd you guys come up with here at table number 2?
All right, so my table with Phil and his wife, we've got different business models. We've got 6 clubs, they have 1, so we're kind of jumping around to figure out what our goals would be. But on the membership side, we love that. We got to hold our people accountable. You know, at least 30 outbound calls. We quickly looked at our Club OS and saw that our managers have only made 4 calls today, so we need to give them a step up, you know, a lot. We need to ask 100% of the new members for an FC, and I would love to see about 90% of those booked at point of sale to help on the PT side of things. When we move, and for the daily, calling managers, having a meeting with them, letting them know what the goals are, reminding them how great they are, and asking them if they need any help from us that day. On the training side, each trainer also makes 30 calls per day. So this is doing some of the cold calls, calling some of the members that have never had a FC before, and trying to get them to book an FC, as well as people that have signed up and got an FC, do that 30-day follow-up or a follow-up in this consultation, try to get them in front of them again. Also, we've got
Club OS follow-ups. So when the trainers aren't doing their thing that they have, then we also want them to stay current on their Club OS follow-ups. In our club, every trainer has their follow-up family, and we expect them to stay current on that. So they make those calls. That's the action item.
And for daily, we're going to do the
Make the calls.
There you go.
Okay. All right. Thanks, guys. Is table 1 ready? All right, table 1, what you got for us?
Daily target of 30 outbound calls, time blocking on their schedule, the dedicated window for those kinds of calls, scripts for objection handling and value statements, build accountability. They have a daily tracker, a whiteboard, or a scoreboard, so they can keep track of their calls, communication, like daily huddle reports and end-of-day results, so they're reporting back on how they did, so they have some buy-in with it. A leaderboard, talking about weekly results, talk about it in the WIG meeting and make sure that everybody knows when everybody's falling on their expectations. Making sure they have lead lists, Club OS lead cadence is set up, having marketing with social media and referrals, making sure to role play, and reinforcing the why, tie those calls directly to their personal income and the club success, and then rewards at the end for doing a good job.
and then let's go through the other ones. That was like our FCs too. So like FCs booking 70 a month for 10 calls under all that. And then for PT, we had 30% close rate on FCs. Confirmed text call reminder for all appointments, video calls from the coach, an actual video message, so they have a personal connection already before they actually come in to meet with you. Weekly sales calls following the FC process as Mastermind teaches. Asking for the sale every time. Following up with your FC if they don't book into 30-day cadence, so they're checking in with you consistently so they don't just fall off of coming into the gym altogether. Tracking that close rate, following up with the process on that. And then our other one for PT was an 85% renewal on PT agreements. Running great sessions every time, making sure the coaches are doing that by following up and making sure, like watching their sessions, making sure they're doing a good job. Client follow-ups with Coach weekly. Assessments completed 90% of the time in 12 months. We do ours every 10 weeks. Scheduling check-ins with clients for nutrition, whatever they want to work on. Having a scoreboard to keep track of those renewals, and then renewal incentive for clients and community events to keep them engaged with.
All right, nice job.
Before we go on to the next, we went through 3 separate ones here. As we're all listening, what is something that we're hearing? Does anything come to mind? Like if we were to present what we just heard to your team, right? Not their team, but your team. How do you think they would receive that information? Good, like, man, they're just gonna drink that right up. One being like they're not even in the room anymore. Where do you think, based off of the first 3 that we did?
Some will think that's overwhelmed. How do I possibly get that done in a day?
Yep. Potentially, right?
Feel top down to them. But that's a different question that you're asking. I mean, before you're asking about what are we going to develop for ourselves as leaders, we would translate that into other language when we're presenting it. Right?
Right. And that's what I'm getting to, is how do we translate that into the language in which people can hear, right? So what else did we hear? They were all fairly similar. What else did we hear from these 3 tables up there? Anybody in the back?
Calls. The 30 calls, and I've heard this from my staff, is overwhelming. Them calling and getting hang-ups, getting yelled at, don't call anymore, can be daunting on their emotions as well.
Who here thinks 30 calls is a lot in a day?
I like it, but
I think I like this, but again, it has to be spoken away. It's a heavy number in a daily, training going on and all the other things that they have to do.
Right.
Hammering out 30 calls back to back to back could be tough, but if you...
Not to get into the weeds. So again, the concept is, as we're presenting, we're going to do just 2 more. We only have time for 2 more. We want to feel like if you're presenting it to your team in a way in which they're going to understand, right? That's the idea of this. It's just an exercise. Obviously, this is one person's wig. So we just want to get a sense of how this gets to land. Like, we all communicate in different ways, and this focus of this whole thing is clarity. We want to create as clear as possible. Remember, all your team members come from different backgrounds. They're older, they're younger, they're in between. We've got to be able to create a common language in which they can understand. Because Chad hit it really well earlier. We get these wigs started, we get these lead mentors started, we email them to the club, we start on Monday, and then by Tuesday, they're already off. Or we go for a whole month, and we had this great, everything was nicely, really tight. And then, like I was talking to Dino, like for example, we gotta get net 15 members. Cool. So we get back to the club on October 6th, and then by the time the month is over, let's say if our goal was 15 net, but we only hit 3 nets, well, what does that mean for the next month? Because if we just do 15 again, well, that's going to be a problem. They might be deflated. So what we're really, again, the overall objective is here is to get contextually how this is actually going to land in your clubs. Make sense? All right, so let's go. Chad wants to say something.
Can I take my presentation back over?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so just like in your guys' world, our world, we're not perfect. Our goal here was twofold. We wanted to take you guys through the full 40X process. So we wanted you to set a WIG, identify your lead measures, get your strategies, do your tactics. Next, we're going to do your scoreboard. Then we're going to do your rollout cadence. And we wanted to gamify it and do points. We're out of time. All right, so instead, we're going to take the gamification away, and we're going to speed through the rest of this because I think it's important for you guys to go through this yourself, putting this together. The idea is you take this back and then you go do it with your team, right? You go through this same workshop with them so they can get the ownership to it. It's so much different when I sit here and tell you what to do versus you help me come up with the plan. Right? You help me come up with the WIG. You help me come up with the lead measures. You help me come up with the strategies, how we're going to keep it relevant. You help me design the scoreboard. You help me with my cadence of accountability. And I think it's really important that you guys take this stuff back. You educate your team on them and you take it through. So that said, we are ungamifying this and we will try again at the next summit to figure out a way to gamify it. And so, sorry, we're going to move on with this. All right, next. So at your table, you're going to design your scoreboard now, right? So at a scoreboard, we're going to have our 6-month progress scoreboard. Key features, you have to have your WIG on there. Next, you have to have your visual progress indicator, so barometer, however you want to do it. You have to have your 5-second test, right? That's the is it easy to read? We're going to give you guys about 5 minutes here to create a scoreboard because I need to get done so Brett Livingstone can come up here and talk and we can get you guys to dinner on time tonight. All right, so I'm going to own this. Too much content, big idea, poor execution. So let's get through this. Let's do our scoreboards. You guys got 5 minutes. Create the best scoreboard you can with the WIGs that you have and the lead measures you've created.
Okay.
Oh, I like it's like a beach scoreboard.
It was a beach. This is a blue. Can I describe it a little bit better than what it's from?
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense when you describe it.
We will. But I was kind of floating. Oh, yeah, actually, go ahead.
What?
Tell me about it.
So this was on a piece of cloth that looked like water, and I cut out islands that were foam board, and each island represented a month, and each island had a theme. This was palm tree picks and starfish. This one, August was August, and we had pirate flags, and this is clients. The shark teeth were the members. June, what did we do for June? I can't remember.
It's okay.
We did firework picks here, and we had stars, blue and red stars, stickers for the members. October, I ordered in tentacles that are purple.
I love how into your scoreboard you guys get. All right.
And then it'll be googly eyes for the members, so it's going to look like a little monster when we
I love it.
Hi, Chad.
Hello. You're so artistic.
No, he's not the wrong way.
Oh.
He's defective, but also defective. His name is Norman, so I mean, you can't expect much.
All right. So now we have set our WIGs, we have identified our lead measures, we've come up with our strategies to hit our lead measures. We have our things we're going to do to keep our lead measures relevant. We've come up with a scoreboard. Lastly, we've got to install our cadence of accountability. I'm going to bring my team up here. We're going to give you guys an example of what a WIG meeting should look and sound like. And so remember, the format of your WIG meeting is step 1, we're going to review our scoreboard. We're going to know where we're at. Our scoreboard's got our lead and our lag measures on there. It's got our results for the month. Then we're going to report on our commitments and goals from last week. And then we're going to give our goals and commitments for this week. And so in our example, Andy is our manager. This example, Andy is our manager. I am the membership manager. Katie is a coach, and so is Matt. And so we are going to host our WIG meeting.
So what we did for our So this scoreboard for the month, I know some of us, it was an exercise. Any way you did your scoreboards, they were great. Is the idea is you break for the month, right? So this is a simple version. I got 3 people on my team. The goal is 30 memberships for the month. PT goal is 10, and we're going to say we're about halfway through the month. So this would be in the break room, and we would be circled around this scoreboard when we're doing this wing meeting. And this is, again, what Chad's saying is what we see where the rubber meets the road is sometimes these wing meetings, they get a little lost in translation. So we're just going to do one. Again, this is, there's various ways of doing it. We're just going to give you a model to kind of look at, and of course make it your own. Anybody have any questions on my scoreboard? Other than it not being super sexy?
You're next to it.
All right, I'm going to put this down so you don't have to hold the whole thing, and we're going to go.
Let's get in our huddle here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're leading it here. You just want this?
This thing work?
No, I tried to turn it on, didn't work.
We'll just make sure we face that. Can you hear us in the back? Okay. No. Okay.
Can you hear us now? There we go.
No, we're going to do it like we're doing a play, so we're going to be really boisterous with the way we do it. Okay? So, guys, why don't we circle around? So, again, a great weight meeting. We're going to go over the core value of the week. We're not going to do that right now, but just to kind of set the stage. Core value of the week. What was, where did we see it? And then we go here. So then we're going to get into scene. All right, guys, welcome. Oh, okay, let's get started. So let's get started with our with the production part of it. So as you guys see on the scoreboard, 30 is our unit goal, okay, and 10 is for our PT. As of halfway through the month, we are at 12 membership units, and we are at 4 PT units, okay? So what I want to go around the room is see where our contributions last week won. So tell us what we did last week for our goal and our commitment, and any help that you need from us. Chad?
All right, my goal last week was to sell 7 memberships, and my commitment to do that was to make 30 calls per day. I fell short on my memberships. I only sold 3 of the 7, and I averaged 12 calls a day. So I got a 0.
Okay, so so you scored a 0. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Anything that, before we move on to the next, anything that we can help you with this week?
Yeah, I really need help staying out of the whirlwind. I need my team to kind of support me a little bit, and if they see me doing things that don't drive me to hitting my goal, a little bit of peer accountability. Peer accountability would be very helpful for me.
Chad, this is your first 0 in a long time, so I know this was just a mulligan, so we're going to be good this week.
We are.
Okay. Katie?
My goal last week was 1 new PT sale, and I needed to host 4 FCs and close 1 of them. I did host my 4 FCs, but I did not get my sale, so I only had 1.
Okay, well, great job with the 1. I know last week we scored a 0, so we broke that trend, so fantastic work there. What help do you need from us this week?
Just hold me accountable to my follow-ups. I have 2 from this past week that I need to follow up with to actually close 1 this week.
Okay, we'll talk more about that. All right, Matt?
So my goal this week was to get 2 new PT sales, and in order to do that, I was going to book 10 fitness consultations. I actually got a 2 this week. I booked 2 new clients and have all my FCs.
Well, fantastic, because I know you were a little bit behind last week, so yeah. So great job, and for scoring that too. So as you can see, folks, we're a little bit behind. So everybody's contribution makes an important difference. We either win or lose as a team. So what we're going to do now is let's tell us what we're going to do this week. And so this is where now we switch, and they're going to go ahead and tell us what their plan is. And this is where I might challenge them a little bit more. Sometimes in the past I've learned, sometimes I'll challenge them right from the get-go, and like what did they do last week and what are they doing this week? If you like it, that's fine to do it that way. I find it better to go through the room first and then start again and then have some dialogue about it. I like asking that question, how can the team help you? Because that encourages them to challenge or help Chad when he goes into what he's doing this week, okay?
All right, so I'm a little bit behind on the month, so I need to sell 10 memberships this week. And in order to do that, I actually need to book 15 appointments for my lead generation.
Okay. Any reason we're switching our commitment? Because I know we didn't hit our commitment last week, which was phone calls.
Yeah, I felt like the phone calls were, I didn't hit it last week, so I want to try a different lead measure with appointments booking. I can book appointments in a bunch of different ways besides just phone calls, and so I feel like I have a better opportunity of breaking my zero trend by switching it to appointment set.
I appreciate you trying to play the game. However, you had set phone calls as a commitment for a reason. What was the reason you had set this commitment?
Because we know that me making 30 phone calls, typically 30 phone calls a day is the biggest leading indicator to me hitting my membership sales goal.
Okay, so then why would we change it this week?
Because I obviously am an idiot and I made a mistake. I don't know. I just want to do something different. I didn't want to get another zero next week, and I really feel like I can accomplish the 10 appointments or 15 appointments in 7 membership closes.
Sound familiar, folks? Okay. So, and I appreciate you wanting to get rid of that zero because that doesn't represent your work here at Anytime Fitness.
Yeah.
However, the whole, yeah, I know. The whole point is so that we can move the needle forward so that you can hit your 30 memberships. So out of the options, it sounds like what should be our commitment this week?
So I think I need to go back to making 30 phone calls a day, and I actually need to get
30 phone calls a day.
Yeah. I need to follow through on making my 30 phone calls a day.
So tell us what was holding us back last week.
Yeah, I just didn't focus on it. I got caught in the whirlwind. I was doing other things. I did some social media. I did, played on my phone too much. And
well, we appreciate your honesty. So
yeah.
It seems like this week we're going to make those 30 calls.
We are, yes.
Okay.
I won't let you down.
We know we're hiring another coach, and they're really counting on us.
That's right.
To be able to fill them up, and we got to make sure that we're getting these members in so that they can be successful. Because if they don't get the clients they want and need, then what's going to happen?
Yeah, it's not going to be good for anybody.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Thank you, Chad, for
Yeah.
your honesty. Let's do one more, and then we'll end our scene. Katie seems like okay. Katie, go ahead.
My goal this week is to actually get 2 new PT sales because I'm behind from the last 2 weeks. And so I'm going to have 6 total opportunities this week, 4 of which are FCs and 2 are follow-ups from this past week.
Great, Katie. You did a nice job last week getting the FCs to show. What was the issue not hitting your target?
I don't think I worked to overcome the objections hard enough. I was a little soft in my close. But I do have 2 follow-ups, so I'm feeling pretty good about those.
Cool. So what can we do to support? I love your commitment. I love your goal this week. What can we do to support your commitment this week to help potentially with your closing?
Matt's going to role play with me. The overcoming objections process play or.
Sweet. When are you guys going to do that?
After this meeting.
Oh, all right. Awesome. Let's end scene. Thank you guys for that.
All right, and so it's very important to us here at Mastermind Gym Solutions that when you guys leave here, you have we fulfill what's called the bird box theory. And so Andy taught me this a couple years ago. The bird box theory is I don't want to go to a workshop to learn how to build a bird box and then walk away from the workshop with the bird box still in the box and have not built it, right? We want you to get what you came for. And so that's what we tried to accomplish today with our bird box theory, was taking you through the 4 disciplines of execution, giving you guys an opportunity to create your wig, identify your lead measures, create your scoreboard, hear what our cadence of accountability meeting should sound like, so now you can feel confident in going back to your club, implementing these things, and getting everybody in this room on that hit their goal slide for the next summit. So that's what we're doing today. That's what we did today. I need the clicker. And thank you.